I'm back! Hey Sparkles! Today is finally the day I am continuing my sanrio series. You guys voted after the last video and the little twin stars Kiki and Lala won. This means I'm gonna make 2 dolls in one video. Again. I have double the work to do, so it would mean the world to me if you like the video, comment and subscribe with the bell notifications on. And with that being said, let's get right into the project.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine. But you
And with that being said, let's get this bread. I don't know.
To make a unique sculpt for Kiki and Lala, Blue Pixie made some cute new faces that we discussed via chat. I wanted a sweet warm expression for Lala and a cute surprised one for Kiki. Blue really did an outstanding job again, which means we can now print those 2 cuties. So let's do that! For printing the dolls, I'm going to be mixing the regular photopolymer beige resin.
What the dog doing?
With some darker pigments to get more of a sun-kissed look rather than a super pale skin tone. The process took quite a while. I pour in different browns, yellows and reds to tone down the resin. Eventually I got a really nice shade.
This is a very pretty tone. Don't know how well you can see that on the cam, but it's very, very nice. It's a bit tanned. It's almost like Cleo's skin tone. It really looks different in the light, but it's very nice. It's not as light as it seems on cam.
Okay, time to pour the resin into my Elegoo Saturn resin tank and start the first batch of doll parts. Since I need to print 2 dolls, I needed multiple printing phases. I think it was around 3 bats of doll parts in total.
Now we wait. Yay! Except for one piece, everything printed.
Fast forwarding a bit, you can see both dollies full printed here except for the feet with shoes, which I will be printing later on. Let's assemble them so we won't lose any doll parts. I conveniently got myself some doll stands lately and they worked so well to display the dolls even though their feet are still missing. I love both dolls already and can't wait to start the fun part now. Okay, gentlemen first, this time I decided to start the customizing process with Kiki. I wanted to give him some wide, 3/4 length pants and chose this vintage pink colored cotton fabric for them. Since I'm giving him pockets, I clean up the pocket seam by gluing it around first. Then I'm taking the little pocket pieces and place them neatly underneath the front pants pieces. To secure them, I just hem them in place with a couple of tiny stitches here and here. When this was successfully done, I placed them finished sides in and sew the front seam. I also added a little fake fly with some stitching to the front for a more authentic look. Now it's time to take the back pieces of the pants and sew them on along the side seams, finished sides in. Here you can see I already prepared a waistband with some belt loops, which I will now be attaching to the pants upper seam, finished sides in. After I did that, I also glued around the bottom seam allowances of the pants, so I can now sew the back seam of the pants together partially, finished sides in, but leaving enough space open for a closure. I'm sorry. Awesome! Just one last seam is missing, which is always my favorite seam. The one that goes from one leg all the way along the crotch line to the other leg. And with that, we have some fine pants. I also made a little belt with a ribbon from pink fabric because Kiki is often seen with that ribbon around his waist and I thought it would be a cute little detail. Okay, let's make his shirt. As you can see, I cut out the bodice from white cotton fabric already and made a little fabric stripe on the middle that will serve as a fake hidden button-down front. I simply glue it in place with my Uhu glue stick. Then I'm taking my sleeve pieces and will attach a little already cleaned up sleeve cuff to it by sewing it on finished side to unfinished side. I then just need to iron it to the finished sleeve side. Looks awesome! Now I can attach the sleeves to the bodice by sewing them on finished sides in. I also glued around the neckline and then it's just the sleeve and side seams that need to be hemmed still. I sew these finished sides in as well and clean up the bottom seam of the shirt by gluing it around. Oh, my legs. To make the front of the shirt a little more interesting, I thread some golden beads onto tiny golden jewelry rings and will sew them onto the front of the shirt. With a closure in the back added, the shirt is done and I really love the little golden details on it. They almost look like piercings and it gives the shirt a little bit more of an avant-garde look, which I really love. One last clothing piece is missing though. I really wanted to give Kiki a coat-like jacket, so I decided a sheer kimono-like jacket would be great. To make it, I cut the jacket bodice from this sheer cotton fabric and will now add this baby blue wavy color that I already cleaned up from cotton fabric and sew it on along the neckline. When I was done with it, I take this sheer folded fabric stripe and sew it along the neckline as well, finished sides in. I iron everything in place and it looks really nice so far. Now just the sleeves are missing. I marked with scissor snips where I need to sew them on and then take the sleeves where I glued around the bottom seam allowance already and place them onto the bodice of the jacket, finished sides in. After sewing it on, it looks like this, and we can now sew together the sleeve and side seams as well, finished sides in. I'm also gluing around the bottom seam allowance of the jacket. I kind of last minute realized I almost forgot to add the print I wanted to put on Kiki's jacket. I cut his name in katakana out of some white fabric vinyl and will simply iron it on with my regular iron since I already sewed the jacket and the iron press would probably make it so flat it would look two-dimensional. And with that, the jacket is done, and I must say I think it looks so cool and unique in this sheer fabric. Also the collar I think is a really nice detail. Okay, for Kiki's shoes, I was actually heavily inspired by Rick Owens' unisex kiss boots because they're just so cool. It's so amazing when his male models wear them, so I wanted some for Kiki. I printed them in translucent resin and here you can see them being cured in the curing machine. I gotta say, Blue Pixie sculpted these incredibly amazing and I can right away paint them now. Before spray painting them white, I mask off all the parts that need to stay transparent first with some masking tape. And after I coated them with some spray paint, it's time for the metallic detail. I chose gold for this one because it would fit the overall color scheme better than silver. And after the gold was applied, I could take my no wipe UV top coat and apply it to all the transparent parts of the shoe sole to make them see-through. I cure them for 2 to 3 minutes under my UV lamp and now just add one layer of Liquitex gloss varnish on top of the white to make it a little shinier and protect the white paint. And here are the shoes done, and it's so cool how they are pretty much miniatures of the Kiss boots. Okay, wig time for Kiki. I wanted to give him his signature short blue hair and I was dreading making this wig because I find short head wigs extremely difficult to make. I found some blue wefts from an old wig laying around that had the perfect shade though and will just be using these. I already made a wig cap a day earlier and will now apply the wefts layer by layer with my hot glue gun. With short head wigs it makes sense to already cut and style the layers while assembling the wig, so I tried my best here. With some hair gel and a flat brush I could manage to style the hair a little better. Here you can see I'm adding the last layers to the top of the head before the parting wefts and switch to my heat gun to basically tame and blow dry the wefts in place. And for the final wefts I made some glued wefts myself and folded them around with my iron and some cardboard to glue them on top of the wig. For that I used some Uhu all-purpose glue and also styled them in place. And yeah, I think I managed to get this wig done properly. Yay! It was definitely a little challenging, but I'm happy it turned out so well in the end. Alright, Final step for Kiki, the face. For him, I definitely didn't want to go overboard with the blushing, so I kept it moderate with some peach tones. I applied to the cheeks, nose, chin and a little bit to the lips as well before going in to sketch out the eyelines with a brown pencil first. I like to sketch out the lines with pencils first before actually going in with paint, so I have kind of a guideline for my brush strokes. And then it's just filling in the eyelines with black and then using some grey to draw some hairlines to the brows. To finish off the face, I just add a little gloss to the lips and also glued on some tiny stars to the cheeks because, well, little twin stars. I made Kiki's eyes the same way as I made Cinnamonroll's eyes too, but kept them just overall very blue. Okay, finally time for Lala. For her outfit, I really wanted to make her a Selkie inspired dress. I saw Kaidab on Instagram make some of these for the Doll Dreams teacups and I just had to try to make one myself. As you can see, I already cleaned up the bottom of 2 skirt ruffle layers of this iridescent fabric. I will now sew them together with a ruffle stitch so I can gather them. Then I'm taking this white circle skirt on which I also glued around the bottom seam allowance already and placed the gathered ruffles on top of it, sewing it on along the waistline. I marked the middle on each piece to be able to spread the ruffles evenly. Then I'm putting the skirt aside and take the top of the dress that I layered with white and iridescent fabric. I already sewed the darts of the dress and will now glue around the top seam allowance, leaving just a tiny space open on each side where I will attach the sleeves later. Looks good! Now I can join the skirt and top part by sewing it together finished sides in. Let's finally make the sleeves as well though. I cleaned up the bottom seam allowance of one of the sleeves here and add 2 sewn lines to create a tunnel for some elastic ribbon I'm going to insert now. Then I fold and sew around the top seam allowance of the sleeve, which was a bit tricky, and create a tunnel for some elastic ribbon later as well. I then pull the threaded elastic tight and sew together the sleeve on the side seams, finished sides in. Turned around, it looks like this. Time to attach the sleeve to the dress. I just placed the sleeves on the top seam allowance of the dress that I didn't glue around and sew it on. And after that I can insert another elastic to the top of the sleeves. This then just needs to be sewn in place with some hand stitches. Now I just need to close the back seam of the dress with leaving enough space open for closure. And with that, the dress is done. And I'm so happy how the iridescent fabric shines and gives this dress such a light, puffy look. I really wanted to give Lala a cool shopper handbag, so I first take this lid from a little curcuma. Is it called like that?
Curcuma.
Sorry. So I first take this lid from a little curcuma shot bottle and will now cut an opening into it with my little cutting pliers that I have. You should end up with something like this. I then enhanced some gold fabric with a thick interfacing and traced some star shapes onto it. I will be cutting out one first. Now I can take the cutout star and glue it onto the first one with some iron-on hemming tape and heat. After I iron it on, I can then cut out the second star and end up with a double-faced glittery golden star. I then just for good measure seal off the edge with some fray check. Then I'm adding my back bottle cap bodice and first glue around a golden stripe to the side of it like this. I I use my Uhu glue for this and glue it all the way around the back from one side of the opening to the other. And I'm also adding a small stripe to the opening. There were some overlapping bits that I simply glued onto the bottle cap as well. And now I just need to cut out a circle of the golden fabric and glue it on top of the bottle cap. The glue dissolved the expiration date here, so I just removed that a bit with a Q-tip and then press on the circle firmly to the back. Finally time to glue the star. For that I use my hot glue gun and apply it to the bodice of the bag before placing it as neat as possible onto the star. Now we just need some straps for the bag. I simply attached some golden chain to a little golden fabric strap with a ring and will now just glue those in place onto the bag. I add 2 straps in total to the bag in the end. And then I came up with the idea, hey, let's make her a keychain! So I cut out a stripe from this iridescent vinyl and some pink glittery katakana and will now try to attach them somehow to the vinyl stripe. I chose super glue and the super glue chose violence. It was a pain, but I eventually made it work. With an eyelet and some golden chains added, we have a super cute keychain for her bag. I also made this glittery pink ribbon and now just attach it together with the keychain and some trusty glue power to the bag. And with that, the bag is done, and I can't help myself but want a bag exactly like this for myself too. It's just so pretty and glittery. I'm a bit jealous of my doll now. I also last minute made Lala this little choker that I made pretty much the same way as the one for my Shusha doll, so if you're interested in that, go check out that video. I just added a satin ribbon for a closure instead of a buckle. Okay, let's make Lala's shoes. I also printed the shoes, which are basically Mary Jane's, and printed them in skin tone. The detailing is so cute on these. Look at this little heart. I also masked these off before spray painting them white. And after they were spray painted, I can use some golden paint to paint the little buckle on them with it. To make them super shiny, I just take my UV top coat and apply it all over the shoes. After curing them under the UV lamp, we have some beautiful white Mary Janes that I honestly wish I had in my wardrobe. Okay, with the outfit done, it's time for Lala's wig. For that, I prepared some bubblegum pink wefts from a jumbo braid and her wig cap already. I will definitely give her long hair, so I can simply glue on the wefts one after another without needing to trim them in between. It still took a while until I reached the top of her head. Eventually it looked like this though, and I could add the final wefts that I folded around with heat. Using my Uhu glue, I glue them in place and hold them for a couple of minutes so they won't go anywhere. After that, I only need to cut the bangs in a Hime haircut. I always wanted to do that hairstyle on a doll, so this was the perfect opportunity. And here's the wig all done. It really resembles Lala, and I can't wait to see it together with the outfit and the face-up. Speaking of the face-up, let's finally do it. Other than with Kiki's face-up, I start by applying shimmer all over Lala's face before adding a bunch of blushing with pink on her cheeks, nose, lips, chin and forehead. I wanted her lips to look naturally pink tinted, so I blend the pastel dust a bit with a Q-tip. Here I already sketched out the eye lines for one eye and will now try to mirror those eye lines on the other eye. Sketching out the eye lines is the hardest, but it's really worth taking your time with this. I also apply some pastel dust on top of the lines to soften them a little bit. Now I can take my matte black acrylic paint and go in with a small nail art detail brush to draw over my sketched lines. And I also use the opportunity right away to paint some salmon colored hairlines onto the eyebrows. I use gouache paint for that. To finish off her face before the one last spray, I apply pearly shimmers to it to make her shine like a galaxy. And then it's just some gloss on her lips and waterline missing. And in the same fashion as I did with Kiki, I'm adding 2 little stars to her cheeks as well. For her eyes, I printed this pink template I made on cardboard and cut it out. I then apply some UV resin on my half sphere mold, add a little bit of glitter to it, and then place the eye template upside down on top of the resin. I cure it under the UV lamp for a minute and then mix some white UV resin and drop that on top of the eye. This needs to cure again for about 4 to 5 minutes and then it's time to demold. Ah, it turned out perfect! Nice! And with that, guys, I think we are done. I'm so ready to see them both finished. You too? Kiki and Lala, my interpretation of the little twin stars. I'm so in love with them and I'm having an absolute blast with this series. Which sanrio character should I do next? I kinda really wanna make Pom Pompurin, so I will put him and the 2 most mentioned characters from the comments into a poll about 24 hours after this video. So please vote if you want me to realize your favorite sanrio character. I also, as always, would like to thank all of my patrons for the ongoing support. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next video and have a beautiful creative day. Bye!
What the dog doing? What the dog doing? What the dog doing?